Hey everyone, welcome back to Care Fiction. I'm your host Subhankar. Today I'm going to talk about a fantasy novel published in 1984, The Hero and the Crown. Before we begin, if you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing. And if you are a returning subscriber, it's good to have you back. Let me tell you how I stumbled upon this novel. You see, most of the interesting fantasy novels always come in series, at least 3 books, and each being about 400 pages long. Each of them leaves you with the thirst to read the next, but it becomes exhausting, and with all my might, I couldn't resist that exhaustion while I was reading one such book. And thus, I find myself doing a good old Google search to find a standalone novel. And long story short, I got this book. But this book serves as a prequel to another novel called The Blue Sword, but you can read this as a standalone novel, as it does have a full stop to its story, and it has a very definitive end. So, let's dive in. The book tells the story of a girl called as Erin, who is the daughter of the king of Damar, and how she vows to protect her people. The book is divided into 2 parts, Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 deals with Erin's inner conflict, culminating at her self-discovery. Part 2 sees her getting to know more about who she is and facing her fears. From a plot development aspect, I found Part 1 to be much more better than Part 2. In fact, I adore Part 1. I loved how the plot supports her character development. But the plot development in the second part didn't rhyme with what we got from the first one. Frankly speaking, there is a certain segment in the middle of the second part that totally baffled me about the plot. The plot line in that segment feels very contrived, particularly due to the involvement of, spoiler alert, time travel. I won't speak much about that as that would be a pretty dead giveaway, but I felt that the plotline and the exposition could have been well improved. About the overall plot structure, there are 2 peak points in the plot that I was able to discern, and those were really good, and the flow of the narrative preceding and succeeding those felt natural and consistent. Let's come to the narrative. Robin McKinley's writing style is prose styled. What I mean is that the sentences are long-winded and some takes a considerable amount of length to invoke a character's point of view. But that didn't unimpress me at all. The writing style lets the reader hold a grip on the character's feelings and thoughts. It has that vicarious feeling, and most importantly, it molds itself to the development of the character. For Erin's case, it portrays how much of a degree of a feeling like conflict she might have at that particular moment. I do have the feeling that most of the readers will find this kind of writing very tedious and exacting. And even I admit that I felt such in a couple of segments that I mentioned before. When it comes to characters, let me point it out straight about the strongest point of this book. It does an excellent job in portraying a strong female character, and it never sways away from the character development of Erin, and I have very high admiration for her character arc. I think the rest of the characters fits well into the story and their arcs are adequate to the plot. Apart from this, there is also a horse, the one you can see in the cover, who is also as central as Erin is, and you will see how both of them are inseparable and vital to the central motif of the novel. And I guarantee you that you will love how the horse's character is also developed. But there is one character, that of a mage, which I felt was there only because of plot purpose and whose character arc seemed unfulfilled and fails to align with Erin's. Lastly, I would like to mention about the portrayal of evil and its characterization. Given the fact that it is a crucial element that adds a dimension to Erin's character and also justifies her motivation, it is given a meager amount of time, and as such, to the reader, its dread and fear won't seem to be proportional with Erin's fear or struggle. When it comes to literary elements, the story of Erin is your classic hero's journey, and I love how those events unfolded. It may feel like a trope to some, but the writing style assuages that. Next we have politics and culture. The development of the political landscape is just enough, but giving a background to a few rivalries and war history could have a little impact on giving more shades to the story. Although one may say that had those been there, it would have been squeezed to resolve all the subplots. And so, all being said, I would have preferred a little political background. The culture among the Damarian royalty is well established, although it is not written in a grandiose manner. Let's talk about fantasy elements. Firstly, you have the dragons, and I believe that the dragon lore is done really well. You have certain categories of dragons, and the history of some, though briefly mentioned, is really good. Plus, the effect of association of dragons with various literary elements is also very well done. But that is where the fantasy elements are pretty much existent. And I would have loved to see just a little more fantasy, whether it is being experienced by the characters in the first hand or somewhat like oral history. I thought that there were certain narrative spaces which could have been filled with some fantasy background. And those elements that did exist consisted of a few that were introduced rather abruptly and were created to solely fulfill the story. And with that, let's come to exposition. Exposition is a very tricky thing. You overdo it and it betrays the story, while you undermine it and it leaves the reader in dark and wanting for more. The latter can be said for this book. It lacked exposition. It's okay if the book is narrative driven and solely focused on developing a strong protagonist. But exposition gives the reader a measure of what and why of the things that befell the protagonist, and the means he or she develops to overcome those. Like if there is a prophecy, you just cannot evoke that in a single line or a few sentences, but you have to let it develop by means of narration. But that is just my personal opinion. You may feel differently about it, but if you are looking for fantasy elements like magic, you will not find it in droves here. So that's my review of The Hero and the Crown. So let me condense everything. This kind of prose-focused writing style is uncommon in fantasy works, and I am saying it loud that the narrative flair and the character development are the strongest points that made me overlook certain laws. But those laws are very apparent, and it may affect your experience, but it never ever belies what the story is about. The plot threads gets resolved, and Erin's character as a main protagonist is very well established. And the narrative style felt very true to the flurry of emotions and thoughts that Erin had. It could be said realistic when it comes to her character study. So, in a nutshell, this book has highs and a fair share of lows as well. But I can safely say that it provided the necessary respite that I needed. And also, lastly, it only has 227 pages in the format that I have. So, as a final verdict, I would say that you should really give this kind of rare fantasy writing style a try. Thank you for watching this video, and next up for review is this sci-fi book, Recursion. Hope you got a good idea from this review, and let me know if you have read it, and when you have read it, what are your thoughts? Remember the drill: like, comment and subscribe. See you soon.